you react to Destiny and separately Hutch from Live and Learn saying people like you, Crystal, and Hassan need to be exiled from the Democratic Party?
There's one, right? That's like OD.
Yeah, of course. I mean, to be fair, I don't know if they actually said that. If they did say that, that's like despicable. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt in the sense that I haven't seen them say that, and I'm just going by a commenter who says they said that, right? But yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like I've tried to make a point in this moment of going after the right as much as possible because I do see a liberal and left-wing alliance that's sort of burgeoning where everybody realizes that we face two problems.
The alliance is emerging? I'm sorry, from where? Where? What?
That we're up against. Number one, the fascists, Trump and MAGA. Number two, the billionaires. And as long as you are generally on that track, you're my ally, right? You're my ally. Now, having said that, if you spend a lot of your time punching to your left, it's like you're sort of the useful idiot of the right. Like you're doing their dirty work.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? You're doing divide and conquer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just don't do that. Try to avoid that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's bad. If you actually want to defeat the right, and if you actually care about fixing the problems we have, don't do that. Like start attacking the right primarily, right? I'm not saying you can never disagree with anybody to your left. That's fine. Like every now and then disagreement is fine, but everything needs to stay, in context and perspective. And if you are exiling people like Hassan, me, and Crystal, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I think if anything,
should be fucking praising you guys.
And there's a better argument to exile the centrist than there is to exile.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And that is 100% true. We're about to, I imagine, hear some insane cope from Destiny. But the reality is the people like Jen and Pumps who are surging in popularity, the people like Zohran Mamdani who are surging in popularity, these are people with a populist tilt to them. These are people who want to put economic populism and worker first policy into action. These are people who want to address the cost of groceries, which are out of control right now. These are people who want to address the housing costs, which have skyrocketed. There are people who want to implement rent control. Those are ideas that are popular, right? Do you know what's not popular?
Destiny.
Fucking abundance. Okay, yeah, Destiny. And these kinds of things. And Destiny's going to piss and moan all he wants, but it's true. There's a reason Kyle is exploding in popularity right now, and Destiny is dwindling in popularity right now.
Yep, 100%. 100%. Yet these stupid fucking dark money groups like Progressive Victory literally did events where he was the keynote speaker.
Yep.
They wanted to prop this fucking piece of shit up as like what it looks like to be a progressive. No wonder Kamala Harris lost.
True. There's a better argument to exile 98% of the party instead of the 2% of the crazy media figures.
The left.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like
go after Pac-Mans.
we've tried the centrist thing 1,000 times over.
We've tried the centrist thing 1,000 times over. Well, we lost the last election. We won the
Yeah, which was a centrist dogshit campaign led by a fucking butcher Biden and then shit canned to Kamala Harris at the last minute.
Yeah. Also, it's that thing he said about how like, everyone who's not a pathetic fucking Zionist like me is a crazy online lefty that's not really representative of the Democratic Party base. Bro, that might have been true in like 2012 or some shit. But guess fucking what, dude? I talked to people from the Democratic Party base IRL, and guess what they are fucking absolutely number one most pissed off about? It's Israel. They hate the fact that the Democratic Party, sponsored that genocide, enabled that genocide, continues for the most part to stay silent on that fucking genocide. And I'm not just talking about Vanguard fans. I'm talking about people that are just like Democrats. Just I like Democrats.
Or normies.
Normie Democrats. Exactly.
Yeah.
They actually are pissed about this. And they
100%.
don't want to go vote for a party that they think has the blood of a genocide on its hands. Like, no, Destiny, you're the one that's out of touch with the fucking base. This is not 2014 anymore.
Yep.
election before that, and then we lost the one before that, and then we won two before that. What are we talking about? We've tried this 1,000 times and it's failed. The lefties lose like almost all their elections, like the socialist types, the hardcore progressive types. What are you talking about? Where are you guys winning
Zohran's about to win.
at? Like Mamdani has the entire fucking socialist movement in the United States on fucking life support. Holy shit.
On life support? Dude, what are you talking about? He lit a fire he reignited.
If anything, he has the Democratic Party on fucking life support. He's the only thing making the Democratic Party even remotely relevant or popular or at all in touch with where the base is. Thank God for fucking Zohran, or else the party would have a negative 3% approval rating instead of like a 12% or whatever the fuck it has.
Yep. Destiny would, with a straight face, tell you he supports Andrew Cuomo. That's fucking sickening.
Clearly, he's shown it to be the weakest of all the ways to fight back.
Yeah.
And so maybe, you give left-wing stuff a chance. And then the other thing is, I don't know, I just find it hard to take criticism seriously from people who have been MIA on Gaza.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Kulinski's, unfortunately, the reason why Kulinski just has to go, it's the obsession. It's the mono issue. This, for the foreign policy thing, is where all
This guy actually has a heart and soul, and it works. This man has a conscience. This man has ethics. He's like, you know what? Actually, I cannot, in good conscience, engage with anyone who has been silent on the number one atrocity of my time.
you're actually just woke, Zach, for caring about the modern day Holocaust. Why are you such a woke purity tester?
Yeah.
Intellectual thought goes to die, especially in Israel. Holy fuck. Yeah. Are you silent on Gaza, on the genocide, on the genocide?
Like, you're not talking about one of the worst human rights atrocities in modern history.
Destiny and this Hutch don't talk about that shit.
Well, Destiny is flat out in favor of a lot of the stuff that's happened. And Hutch is just, I guess, largely, he just doesn't talk about it much, I guess.
Imagine not talking about it. Imagine not talking every single fucking day about this issue that I barely know fuck all about. Imagine not talking about it.
What do you mean barely know fuck all about? Kyle has covered this for fucking over a decade. Kyle's covered the fucking situation in Palestine and Gaza since before October 7th, way before you made it your pet issue to cheerlead a genocide.
Yeah, and then you admitted that you didn't even fucking know what you were talking about and had to read a bunch of Wikipedia articles so that you could pretend to be an expert. Like, it's absolutely the most bullshit projection ever. Kyle Kulinski, you know, sometimes he has a reputation for being like a funny, silly, edgy guy, but one thing he actually genuinely is very knowledgeable about is foreign policy.
100%.
Like, you listen to him wax about foreign policy, he'll be fucking like he'll be literally be talking like he's an expert. He's like a very well-informed analyst on the subject matter. I don't know what this is, just implying that he's like, oh, just virtue signaling because he's against the modern day Holocaust or whatever. Like, bro, that's not virtue signaling. And even if Kyle wasn't as fucking knowledgeable about the situation as he is, you don't have to be. It's not that fucking complicated. It's a goddamn Holocaust that we're all watching in HD 4K on fucking Twitter. And you want us to sit here and not be outraged and not be pissed off about it because of the fact that our taxpayer money is funding this atrocity?
Yeah, fucking nuts.
Constantly.
And so any criticism from those sorts of people, I find it like comical. I can't really take it serious because it's like, where are you on one of the biggest issues? Where, by the way, I've seen polls. It's like anywhere from 8% to 13% of the Democratic base is still supporting Israel. 90%
are in favor of a full-scale invasion and a deposing of the entire Israeli cabinet. Yes.
That is
77%
fucking...
of the Democratic base says what's happening is a genocide.
Yeah.
So how are you going to exile us from the Democratic Party when we are the ones who are representing and believe in what the Democratic base is saying they believe in?
True.
It just doesn't really add up. So
just go make your own party. They have so many people.
Oh, so you can piss and moan about how they cost you the election every single time? Because that's the constant loop cycle that these people are on. They're like, they want to blame you for losing the election. And then whenever you're like, okay, well, here's how you could actually win the election by standing for something, right? And then they're like, no, we don't want to do that. And then they turn back to go fuck off and do your own party. Okay, we will. Then we lose because nobody wants to come out and support fucking Genocide Joe or Kamala Harris, who stood by and didn't differentiate herself at all when it comes to Gaza, didn't let a single Palestinian American speak at the DNC. Nothing from Uncommitted Movement was allowed to be fucking said on the main stage at the DNC, right? They completely gave the middle finger to everyone who said, hey, we deeply care about this issue. You must change course. And now they want to turn around and blame those people for why they lost. It's nuts.
100%. Speaking of receipts and this whole, like, you know, publish the contract thing, Zach, do you want to take a quick look at this debate moment from Destiny versus Taylor Lorenz, a debate that went down pretty much hours after Taylor was on our show?
Yeah, she has a lot of stamina, man. She's willing to fight with the dumbasses all day and night. I admire it.
Yeah, as soon as I got home and I was like editing up some of those clips from our show, I looked at my YouTube subscription feed and I was like, no, why are you doing this? Because I saw Taylor was on Destiny's show. And in my opinion, it's basically never a good idea to engage with Destiny. I don't think I've ever seen a debate or a conversation with Destiny where at the end I was like, that was worthwhile and necessary to engage in. Mostly it's just an exhausting battle against a gaslighting bullshitter. And, you know, I did think this conversation was mostly useless. Him just like endlessly pestering her, pretending, you know, not to know certain things, even after she'd explained it to him over and over again. And as it says here from Gato Fumador, this was basically just an hour and 40 minutes of Destiny on the back foot, with Taylor Lorenz having to constantly correct his absurd misapprehensions and explain how source protection works. It was almost like he's really not used to talking to women who aren't in their teens, which is funny. And it spoke to something that we discussed with Taylor on the show too, which is this whole talking point that like, oh, it's not valid journalism unless you throw your own source under the bus and reveal what they leaked to you. It's like, bro, I don't know what the fuck, you know, I don't know what world you come from.
Open the schools.
Right. It's like, that's not how journalism works. That's not how, and this isn't even the only time I've seen this year. If you guys remember, I believe it was the Washington Post, perhaps, they published that article about how there was the book of, you know, birthday letters to Jeffrey Epstein, and one of them was from Donald Trump. Remember? And it was talking about the creepy shit and like all these weird
Was
references.
that the Wall Street Journal?
I think it was the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it talked about the Enigma and like all these weird references that people assume to be about, pedophilia. Right.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of fucking idiot MAGA supporters were like, well, why don't they release the actual fucking letter? Why don't they actually release the evidence? You can't just write an article and assume that we're going to fucking trust you. And it's like, well, unfortunately, you have to fucking trust them because whoever leaked them that document from like the DOJ or whatever doesn't want to get imprisoned, for the rest of their life by a fascist administration for leaking some incriminating ass evidence. And this shit's all watermarked, as Taylor explained. Every single one of these chorus contracts is fucking slightly different so that if anyone leaks it, the people in charge can sue them and fucking ruin their life.
100%. And you make such a great point, and something that I think we need to make even more central to the show than we already do is explaining to people how journalism works, right? Because one of the things is that journalistic outlets, like newspaper outlets, right? These even, broadcast news outlets, they had something called institutional credibility, right? People trusted the news to be fact-checked and true if it came from an institution of journalism like the Wall Street Journal, like the New York Times, hell, like the Chicago Sun-Times, right? If they ran it, it was, people believed it to be true, right? It was the nuts and bolts were there. It would be a huge scandal if they published something that wasn't true. Look up the Rolling Stone rape scandal. That was debunked totally, right? It crippled Rolling Stone. They had to sell to a Chinese conglomerate. They were never the same again. If you ruin your reputation as an institution of journalism, right, people won't trust you, and then you won't be able to protect your sources because people will want to see the nuts and bolts because they don't believe you, right? It creates this huge unraveling problem, right? It's a snowballing effect, right? And I think part of the problem here is the trust in legacy media is so low. And one of the things that legacy media does do better, admittedly, than independent media like us is break stories, do real journalism. They have the bankroll to do it. They're willing to make profit on the stuff where it's punditry and lose money where it's investigative because they know they'll make it back when their pundits get to break that investigative story on the big networks, right? So it's very important to have that credibility established, and the fact that it's so lost is why you get people making these kind of demands that are basically unmeetable.
Yeah, 100%. So let's take a look at this. I thought you did a pretty good job dealing with this insufferable asshole.
And that what I think would be valuable is for Chorus to say, listen, we value transparency. We realize that this program was not maybe as transparent as it should have been starting out. We want
should have been according to you, right?
Well, according to every ethics expert that we asked in media, and I think according to what the public expects from creators, which is a level of transparency where if you're going to take money from a political group for political purposes, you should disclose that. And so I think what Chorus could do to set a good example and to help build a more transparent political media ecosystem, which I think we all want. If we're somewhat on the left, we want more transparent, ecosystem in political media. Say like, hey guys, you are free to talk about this. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I was surprised that they didn't announce the program because even now they still
they have announced, right?
A level of,
I think Brian Taylor Coyne and I think David Pakman months ago announced that they were starting this program, right?
No, they didn't announce anything about the 1630 fund or any of the funding stuff. They announced that they were doing the public facing program. Sure, that's never been a secret. That's on the website. But this private paid program was not announced. Of course, now it's all public since I've reported on it. But
didn't they have like the application thing like on the website? You could apply to join Chorus if you wanted to.
You could apply to join the public thing, but that wasn't the same as this like paid thing, which is private. So of course they're soliciting creators for it. There's one creator in the story.
I just wanted to point out that Taylor Lorenz doesn't come across as vindictive at all in this exchange, right? She's not trying to pummel Chorus. She's not trying to bury them into the ground. She said, hey, this is an oversight. This was poor practice. This was dishonest. Here's how you need to correct it. She's not trying to get Chorus burned to the ground. And I feel like that's the tenor. All of the Chorus people who were implicated in their, comrades, right? Their homies, the stooges that have been rushing to their defense. Those people have,
incriminated themselves.
100%.
100%. There's even part of this whole exchange that goes on for like 2 fucking hours. We're not going to react to it, but there is a part where she's even like, people that I like have made, inferences, or they've said implications from this article that I didn't say. Like, she talks about how a lot of people have pointed out or mentioned that some of the creators, or most of the creators, have been silent on Israel, and that a lot of them are more in the Zionist camp. She says that's not something I put in the article.
Yeah.
It's literally not in my article. Everyone's just talking about that, including some channels that I like, including some that I don't know. But it's not something I said. So now David Pakman and Brian Tyler Cohen, they want to play the victim and all this shit, and act like this is about that. When it's like Taylor Lorenz never even brought that up to begin with. People just got hella defensive.
Right, that who's quoted, who applied for it, who heard about it. It was spreading around. Creators themselves were sort of talking about it. But I think we need a lot more transparency. Another thing that we don't.
If the maximum transparency was like the goal, I feel like the easiest thing would then just to be to publish the contract, which if you've gotten several of them, you can compare them, you can see, well, but why don't you go? You're the one who wrote the story.
I work at Wired. I work for Wired, and unfortunately they, that is their stance of not publishing the source material because they are concerned about, potentially identifying stuff. I'm with you,
Wired
Stephen.
Tell you explicitly on this story that you were not allowed to publish? That was Wired's decision and not yours, that you weren't allowed to publish the contract for this?
We've made the decision that we're not going to publish the source material.
Well, of course, I know you've made that decision because it isn't published, but I'm asking, was it Wired that prohibited you from publishing it?
I'm willing to go back and have a conversation with the lawyer about it again. But what I would say, Stephen, is that Brian Tyler Cohen.
I think it's funny when people call him Steven instead of Destiny. If I ever had to have an interaction with this guy, he's Destiny and nobody else to me.
And again, this whole release the contract thing, it's just a fucking obfuscation because they can't actually really argue with the substance of the article. So they basically just have to claim that, well, until you actually release the contract, I don't even have to really believe what's in the article. That's all it is. It's just moving the goalposts because you don't actually want to fucking defend this shit. So instead, you just have to be like, is it even real? I don't know. I don't know how to fucking read an article. I don't understand what reporting is or journalism is. So show me the contract. Show me the contract. As if Wired would allow Taylor Lorenz to publish an article misrepresenting a contract, which they absolutely 100% have access to. Not just them, but their entire legal team scrutinizing this stuff. You think they're that stupid? Come on.
Yeah, 100%. The other thing is there's one person, or one group rather, who could publish the contract and not incriminate any of Taylor or Wired's sources, and that is Brian Tyler Cohen. That's the folks at Chorus. How come they don't release the contract to prove themselves innocent, Gavin?
I don't know. Maybe they will. Do you think they will? Do you think that's where this is going to lead? I doubt it because it's going to prove her right. It's going to prove her 100% right.
They have to have the shadow of and that's why I asked Taylor about this too. I also had that same question. I was like, hey, a lot of people have said, come on, let's just see the contract. Like, let's just end this. Let's make it clear. Why don't you do that? And, Gavin summarized it pretty well. The watermarking, for one, the fact that these people don't want to have their careers and reputations ruined, the fact that she doesn't want to ruin her connection to a great source that was able to feed her newsworthy material, all of these kinds of things that should go without saying if we had a credible and trustworthy news media, which unfortunately we just don't.
Yep, 100%. So again, this conversation, which I would have advised Taylor Lorenz against even participating in, I don't think there's any reason to, fuck with Destiny. But I think the fact that she did engage with it proves that she has nothing to fucking hide. Because Destiny sat there for 2 hours and grilled her, fucking interrogated her, and in the process proved absolutely nothing. After talking shit, after smearing her and her journalistic abilities, all he proved in this 2-hour-long interaction is that he doesn't even know anything about journalism himself, that he doesn't know a goddamn thing. And this lady had to sit here like a freaking saint and lecture him as if he's a fucking kid in her fucking high school journalism class.
That's exactly the dynamic.
Yeah. And be like, no, actually, I know that you'd like that. I know that would be like more, whatever the fuck, but that's not how this works, honey. We have to actually, take this seriously and respect the people that are leaking this stuff to us. And that's the other thing, Zach. It's not like Taylor Lorenz had this leaked to her by some like Republican or something. Like, people act like, oh, she's doing this to hurt the left. Guess who reached out to her in the first place to start the story? It was people that were, leftist content creators. It was people in the space that
Chorus had reached out to.
Yeah, exactly. People that Chorus had reached out to. So to act like she's being the mouthpiece of MAGA or Republicans. No, she's being the mouthpiece of disaffected creators that felt fucked over by this giant fucking dark money group. And she never called it a cabal. All these people, they want to act like it's a shadowy fucking cabal. Taylor never said that. She just reported fucking facts. It's crazy.
Yep, 100%. And the other thing that I think is really important to point out about Taylor is that she also reported on the Tenet media scandal, which rocked Republican media. It was it implicated Dave Rubin, it implicated Tim Pool, it implicated a bunch of the Nashville recording and their adjacent Republican podcast media, and he was taking hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he defended it over and over and over again. Right? He even comes out today and defends David Pakman, says he's taking the red pill, leaving the left. Crazy stuff we might get into.
Yeah, we have to watch David Pakman's video where he leaves the left, because that also is pretty funny.
100%. We have to get to that one. And it just completely shreds this argument that she's somehow only critical of left-wing media. The other thing that's crazy is if any of us know Taylor Lorenz for one thing, it's the libs of TikTok stuff. That's the number one thing if she's famous for, right? I brought it up before she came on the show. The gentleman that fixed my jeans for me, a great tailor locally, we were talking about Taylor Lorenz. He was like, the libs of TikTok lady. I was like, yes, but not the evil one, Chaya Raichik, the one that exposed her.
He said, from one tailor to another, I approve.
Exactly. LOL. But
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. Be there.